What is going on, guys? Predator458 here, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to World of Warships, where today we're going to be taking a look at a match that I played myself. Now, I forget what this map... Okinawa, there we go. This is Okinawa, and we are in the Tier 9 American Battleship, the Iowa. And this is about just over 2 minutes in. I don't recall all my gameplay. What I do is I've got my shadow play timer set to 15 minutes, and... get 13,300 damage on that Des Moines. But I have my shadow play timer set to 15 minutes, and if it's a good game, I shadow play it. And normally that's enough to capture the whole match. But this time, it was quite a long game, so we just missed the first 2 minutes, but nothing happened there. That salvo on the Des Moines was the first salvo that did any real damage. But all guns are ready to go, so we're going to fire off another full salvo as he's turning to starboard, exposing his broadside. And they're looking pretty good, actually. And one Citadel, 21,000 damage, and we leave him on like 900 hit points. And someone gets the kill. Now, this is the first like really good game I've had in a battleship in quite a long time, excluding like Sean or something like that. But it very nearly didn't turn out to be, and you'll see why a little bit later. But anyway, so we got North Carolina, 17 kilometers. We're going to fire off a full salvo, and we're going to start moving in towards B. Now, this was a tier 10 game. As you can see, we've got, I think, 2 Montanas on our team, and a Yamato, and only 2,000 damage, unfortunately. The enemy's got a Montana. They've got the German one, whichever the tier 10 is, I forget. But anyways... This North Carolina is now presenting quite a bit of a broadside. We might be able to get a Citadel there. So we're going to fire off another full salvo and begin to turn into starboard to re-angle our armor. He's only 13 kilometers away. Shots are looking good, but looks like I aimed a little bit too high and maybe just a little bit too much lead. And we only get one hit, and it doesn't penetrate or anything like that. So moving in towards B, got another Des Moines here. And looks like he's turning away. So we're going to... No, we're not going to shoot at him. We're going to slow down because this Hindenburg is crossing our path. And unfortunately, too many cruisers do that. And we had to sacrifice all of our speed and slow right down to stop, to avoid colliding with him. But, I mean, things are fairly equal right now. We do have an advantage. We have sunk 3 enemy ships. They've only managed to sink 1 of ours. And we've had the majority of the points, so we have a slight point advantage. Got a rune at 17 kilometers. Now you guys are going to see that I'm still very much trying to get back into the swing of things with this game, and especially with long range shots on cruisers, my accuracy is not quite there. Something I'm still struggling getting used to, just figuring out how much lead and elevation to give them. And you know, when you've been playing for a long time, you sort of you're able to better predict the enemies. You know, you're just from observing them play and that sort of thing, you find that you're better able to just predict if they're going to turn left or right, for example. You're not always going to get it right, but you're certainly going to get it right a lot more than I am at the moment. And these shots are going in, and I was actually quite confused with that salvo. I'm not sure why it landed so short. Maybe you guys would have just picked up now in the replay. I forgot to double check. But anyway, so those landed. The lead looked pretty good, but they were very short for some reason. And just trying to pick out our next target. This Des Moines looks like he's turning a little bit, and he's immediately turning back, so we're going to readjust and see if that salvo can maybe find its mark. Now, I've got an enemy Missouri here. And our shots are going in, and 1 hit, but it doesn't penetrate. And this Missouri actually confused me in the heat of the battle, because I initially thought it was a Montana. I didn't read it properly. I just saw, you know, the M and the battleship logo, and I was like, okay, it's a Montana. And just now he's going to turn around and he's going to come back. He's going to stop running. But we've very nearly captured the point. Only 5 seconds remaining. This rune looks like he's turning, and they're approaching the map border. So shots coming in from A cap. Not sure if those were meant for me or the battleship just on my port side. Shots going in on the rune, and just a tiny bit short, you see. Something that's a shot I should have been able to hit. but unfortunately I didn't give quite enough elevation, otherwise it could have been a pretty decent salvo. So, other rune, the one that is now closest to us, what's he going to do? And we're just watching these two. It looks like they might collide, so I was holding my fire. And just waiting to see, because this SEP 0101, he's going to have to turn to port if he wants to avoid if he does get hit. So we fire off the front two guns. And now the enemy Missouri has actually turned around and is coming back towards us. And we managed to land a Citadel and the other salvo splices. So I actually don't, during the game I didn't notice this max power in his Missouri turning around. I was a little bit surprised when suddenly I noticed he was no longer 17 kilometers away, but rather 13 or 12 in this case now. So he's being very brave. He's got 3 battleships sailing straight towards him. And he's decided he wants a piece of us. So I'm angling my armor more towards him right now. And going to try and close the gap. And shots out on this rune again. Not the greatest dispersion, but we do manage some hits for minor damage. And I mean, this Missouri is charging straight at a Yamato, so he's kind of just given up on life. Because with 3 battleships here, including a Montana and a Yamato, he's not going to survive. But we are nearly ready to fire. And we're going to take the lead, and we're going to fire off a full salvo. The dispersion is looking good. And look at that, 65,000 damage, 5 citadels, and we wipe him off the face of the map. I was ecstatic when that happened, because I wasn't expecting anything approaching that sort of damage on him. But it's the first time in a long time I've had a kind of big salvo on an enemy ship like that. And unfortunately we spliced there. That was decently aimed. The very next match I was actually playing my Missouri. I haven't had any good enough games in it yet to make a video forward again. I'm not entirely sure why I was slowing down. I think it was just that I didn't get too close to 4 cruisers and become the priority target for some high explosive spam. So shots out on SEP 101 or 0101, and they're looking pretty good. And unfortunately they're not. Some dispersed in front, some behind. Such is life of a battleship. And now we're becoming the priority target for the battleships behind us, so it's definitely time to try and put a bit more distance between us and them, and try and get them to maybe shoot at someone else. But they're not having any of it at the moment. I'm going to take another shot at this rune, who's looked like he was turning away. He is indeed, and decent enough salvo, good hits, 8,500 damage. Would have liked a bit more, but oh well, is what it is. So Hindenburg, we were just waiting to see if his course settled, if he continued his turn, and unfortunately he didn't, and waiting to take the shot didn't matter at all anyway. So we've been set on fire, and we've got a few seconds left until we can heal up again, and that was a decent salvo, but just a little bit high unfortunately. So it was pointed out to me in my Scharnhorst video that I should probably use my repair party more often, and I agree, because look at that, it's ready and waiting, and I'm not using it right now. And there we go, finally I decide to use it, and we're going to recoup some of our health. Now I'm heading towards, in the direction I am, so I can try and get this Yamato and Montana to be closer to these cruisers than I am, because they're all focusing me now with high explosive. And 11,600 damage, and I start turning to port to miss this Yamato, and he starts turning to starboard. So now I've got to swing the rudder over in the complete other direction to avoid running into him, as well as throw the ship in reverse. Now we can start accelerating again, but you can just see we're down to just under 21,000 hit points, and they're still shooting in this general direction, but they might be shooting at Yamato now, but now they're shooting at me. So now I think we are going to be able to turn around and support our big Japanese battleship. Now we stagger our shots there, just in case he turns to port or starboard. Hopefully something will hit. And indeed we managed to get 2 hits for about 1400 damage, or no, 4000 damage. I think it was on 5000, so we've left on about 1000 hit points. And now we've got to turn back and try and deal with these battleships behind us. There's Grosse Kurfürst and this Montana. So we're going to take a shot at the Grosse Kurfürst first and move in with our Yamato to try and support him as much as possible. We've got 8 seconds remaining on the heel. How quickly do I use it this time? Montana's been taken out, shots in on the Grosse Kurfürst, and unfortunately no damage done. And again, we're just waiting on that repair to be triggered. And there we go. This time I didn't wait quite as long as last time. So we'll heal back up a little bit. And we're going to take a shot at Balebreaker. And how do these shots do? He's very angled, so I'm not expecting a whole lot. 1300. I think I'm actually at some point going to switch over to high explosive, just to try and get some fires going. But we are going to do one more salvo of armor piercing. And Yamato should really be reacting a little bit more than he is. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage with that salvo, and we've got high explosive selected, so we can try and get some fires and get some dot damage. Those shots are in, 4,500 damage. Our secondaries are opening up, and immediately I now regret selecting high explosive because we got a much better angle on him now, although now he is going to be turning in, so it really wouldn't have actually mattered a whole lot. And who's going to win this? Because Yamato has got quite a lot more health. Is the Grosse Kurfürst going to go for a ram? Fire off a salvo of high explosives, switch back to armor piercing. We managed to get a fire. And we take a big hit there. And that is the mistake that very nearly ended this match. I was paying too much attention to the Grosse Kurfürst in front of me. Wasn't paying enough attention to XXX Sense XXX. And he hit us for 27,000 damage, I think. So we re-angle our armor. Thankfully, we're not the focus target of this guy in front of us. And we do 15,000 damage, and we finish him off. So just checking around, we've now got a Des Moines in front of us. We've got Sense over here with 17,000 hit points. He is on fire, so he's losing some health. We heal up. I think we did that quite quickly this time. And we're going to take a stab at him any minute now. He's giving us a full broadside, which really he shouldn't be, because even though we're not likely to citadel him, you never know, sometimes you do get surprise citadels on German battleships. He finishes off the Yamato, but I am a little bit higher up, trying to go for the superstructure, and we get 4 hits, do 9,000 damage. We're slowing down, we're speeding up, we're going left and right, trying to dodge his shells, and we manage to avoid the incoming fire, and he's very nearly dead. Time to switch targets. As you can see, we've got a points lead. We lead in the number of ships, but the enemy does have 2 cap points, and now we are very close to a Des Moines, and he's already set us on fire once. Now I use my damage control team. I don't normally do it for 1 fire, but we don't exactly have enough hit points to sit and burn, so I use it, put it out, and just gotta hope that we don't get set on fire before we can finish these ships off. Minor damage coming in from the rune, and we're just waiting on the reload, and we're gonna fire off a full salvo. We do get the warning that it's gonna hit the rock, but we're just gonna have to take a chance, and hopefully some of them sneak over. They are indeed, and we manage to get a citadel, and we finish them off and earn ourselves Confederate. And there we go, that's the end of the match. Now, in case you didn't notice the damage numbers, 205,541 damage done. By no means a world record, but the first time in a very, very long time I've even exceeded 150. So I was so happy, I was so pumped after this match. It was actually really good fun. 490,000 credits earned, 8,100 experience. We got Confederate, Devastating Strike, and Dreadnought, I believe. As I said, 205,000 damage done, 67 target hits, 1 incapacitations, 3 kills, 2 fires, 8 citadels, assisted in a base capture once, and 22 target hits, and made progress towards completing tasks 6 and 7 of whatever campaign I was running at the time, or am running at the time. As for the team score, first place on the team with a base XP of 2,720. Yamato was second with 2066, and a Fletcher in third with 2048. Enemy team, Montana in first with 1455, followed by Des Moines and a Grosse Kurfürst. As for the detailed report, of our damage, 202,000 was from the main battery, 204 shells fired, and we did just under 3,000 damage with our high explosive, and a further 648 from fires. But as you can see, we did 65,333 damage to that Missouri, so even without that wiping him out like that, it still would have been a pretty good game, and I still would have showed it to you. Another 24,000 to a Kurfürst, 16 to one Des Moines, another 35 to another Des Moines. So not a bad match at all, and I really enjoyed playing it, and it's good to... feels good to finally be feeling a bit more comfortable with World of Warships and getting back into the swing of things and learning how to shoot again. But anyways, that about covers it for this video. If you enjoyed, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button down below and consider subscribing for more World of Warships, Armored Warfare, and a few other things that I throw into the mix from time to time. But that is it from me. Thank you very much for stopping by. This is Predator 458 signing off, and I will see you guys next time.